Hello and welcome. This is Ancient Wisdom for a Modern World. I am your host, Jim Phillips. It is through the application of ancient wisdom in our modern world that we gain a greater understanding and experience of the truth of who we are. And never has there been a time in the history of humanity when there was a greater need to understand this truth. And it is this truth that will set us free. Before I begin today's episode, I want to invite you to subscribe to the Ancient Wisdom for a Modern World podcast at sacredstoriesmedia.com. You can also listen to inspirational messages by my Sacred Stories colleagues. Additionally, if you'd like more information on my work, my message, and free downloads, please visit my personal website at www.prosperitybydesign.com. And lastly, I'm excited to announce that my book, The Key to Life, is now available for pre-order at sacredstoriespublishing.com, as well as amazon.com and barnesandnoble.com. And the official launch date is April the 4th. Now for today's episode. In previous episodes of Ancient Wisdom for a Modern World, I've discussed limiting beliefs and awareness, perspective, and inspiration. And today what I want to discuss is the principle of non-attachment. And I first began to address this principle of non-attachment after I read a phrase that was attributed to Jesus that I found in ancient script that was a part of what is now called the Gospel of Thomas. The phrase is, "Be as a passerby." And to me what this means is that we're to experience life and all that it has to offer while on earth through the experience and expression of ourself without becoming attached to any of it. I think we've all heard this phrase, we are in this world but not of this world. Or better stated, what was said was, I am in this world but not of this world. But as it applies to all of us, we are in this world but not of this world. When people learn to let go of that which no longer serves them, as well as live life without attachment to things of this world, I think they gain a greater understanding and experience of the truth of who they are, and quite frankly, why they're here. I also think that we will better understand the meaning of the truth shall set you free. What I want people to understand when we look at this whole principle of non-attachment is what's going to be gained from it. And I think the primary points to be gained are, number one, personal responsibility and acceptance for our own lives, who we are, what we're doing, what takes place in our lives, and actually to do so with non-judgment. I also think that when we live non-attached, we also create personal freedom, and with that personal freedom comes empowerment. We also create space for new information and ideas and possibilities, because once we let go of or release those things, thoughts, beliefs that no longer serve us, that are basically in the way, it opens the door for new information and new ideas and new possibilities. And what I believe happens is that when we create this space for new information and ideas and possibilities, we start making better, more empowering choices. I think the result is that we start living life as we desire, and we do so unconditionally. So what is this principle of non-attachment? What does it mean to live non-attached? Well, the principle of non-attachment tells us that we're not to identify or label ourselves as anyone or anything. We're not what we do, nor are we who others say we are. In fact, in most cases, we're not who we believe ourselves to be. And this is because who we believe ourselves to be is often attached to our experiences, our expectations, the opinions and the limiting beliefs we hold about ourselves and that others hold about us. And these beliefs lead to judgment, and judgment cannot coexist with non-attachment. We're not what we have, and we're not what we don't have. We're not our experiences. What I believe is that every event in life is an experience of life, and just that. And our experiences do not define us. They allow us to experience ourselves more fully, more completely, more wholly. Non-attachment is also about living without any attachment to ideologies or dogma that would take us away from the knowledge and experience and expression and truth of who we are. We're here to trust in ourselves. We can believe what we choose to believe, and we can live from those beliefs. However, they don't define who we are, and therefore they're not the truth of who we are. Non-attachment also means that we are detached from any preconceived outcome. We remain open to the limitless possibilities that exist. I think it's important to keep in mind that the outcomes that we might hold are far less than what is actually possible for us. And by holding a preconceived outcome, we might be, and I think we are, denying ourselves a much better outcome and therefore much better experience. And lastly, we're not our body. Our body is merely the vehicle through which we traverse life. And as the vehicle through which we traverse life, obviously it's important to take care of it in every possible way. However, it is not who we are. It's been interesting for me to hear people's thoughts and questions on non-attachment when I've spoken about it. Many have shared with me that to them it brings to mind an image of going through life emotionless and unaffected and uncaring. What I have found is just the opposite is true. As a passerby, we're more fully engaged in life, more fully invested in all that life is and has to offer. Those who live life as a passerby are more deeply and passionately in love with life, and they live in full expression of who they are and who they desire to be. When we're attached to the things of this world, we suffer when we no longer have the experience of them. Now, this isn't to say we shouldn't love deeply and have lifelong relationships, especially with our children and family and friends. It doesn't mean we shouldn't enjoy the material aspects of life, like living in a nice home or driving a nice car, or that we should strive to be successful at something we enjoy and something we're good at. In fact, we might do something that makes us well known in the world, but we're not what we did. We're not the job. We're not the status we held or the relationship we were in. We are the being that had the experience of these things. And when the experience ends, we still exist as the expression of the divine that we were before the experience. We're here to live in non-attachment of the experiences that have been created for the divine to experience and express itself through us. Many of you have read my work, you've heard me speak, and you know that I speak almost exclusively on living in full expression. I do so because I believe this to be our purpose for being here. To live life in full expression requires us to be as a passerby. We're not living in full expression if we're attached to our thoughts, our beliefs, our expectations, and the opinions held by others of who we are or should be. We're not living in full expression if we're attached to the outcomes of what we do or have done, any successes we have, or our perceived failures. We're not living in full expression if we're attached to the labels we accept and identify as that don't reflect our true nature. It is when we experience life non-attached that we are free to experience it as it unfolds in each precious moment, in its perfection and glory as it is intended. Another important aspect of the principle of non-attachment is that we are to experience the full range of human emotions. It's when we suppress our emotions that we resist the flow of life. By allowing the full range of emotions, we're alive and we're engaged with life and therefore fully expressing and experiencing ourselves. Non-attachment in this case means detaching from the emotion beyond its expression. Let me give an example. Allow yourself to experience and express anger, but don't become an angry person. Allow yourself to experience and express sorrow, but don't become a sad or depressed person. Now, some of you might be thinking, yeah, but what about joy and love and happiness? Aren't these emotions to which we would want to be attached? Yes, they are, but here's the difference. We are those expressions. You are joy, you are love, you are happiness. And when you live in full expression of these emotions, you allow for the grandest experience of yourself, which is joy, love, and happiness. And you can't detach from that which you are. However, you can choose whether or not to express and experience it. Now, at this point, I've been describing the principle of non-attachment more from the perspective of not becoming attached. But what about those things to which we are attached? How do we become unattached? A very common piece of advice that's given to folks who are frustrated and stressed out or just plain unhappy with everything, including themselves, is to just let go. In fact, as a coach, I've used that many times when talking to somebody. They've explained to me a difficult situation they've gone to and how it continues to haunt them and preventing them from doing certain things they want to do or having a certain experience. And I'll just say, you got to let it go. It sounds simple, right? Just let go. Well, here's what I found. We all seem to have an idea of what it means, yet most of us struggle with doing it. What's the problem? Well, it seems that the problem is we really don't know what it means to let go. And as a result of that, we don't know how to let go. Here's what I understand about letting go. Letting go is acceptance and allowance. It's accepting where you are in life, accepting the experiences you are having in life, accepting who you are in this moment in life, and accepting the truth that you have the power to change it. And then it's allowing yourself to do so. It's allowing yourself to give yourself permission to do so. And letting go is accepting and allowing without judgment. And this isn't to imply that we just accept life as the cards we were dealt and therefore can do nothing about it, or that we can do nothing about our life experiences. It means accepting, okay, here I am. I take full responsibility for where I am, and I take full responsibility for where I will go from this moment forward. Each moment presents the opportunity to change what is to what is desired. However, to do so, we've got to let go of any belief that says we have no say in how life unfolds. And in an interesting, paradoxical kind of way, letting go is really regaining our personal power. Letting go, and the way that I like to describe it, it's releasing that white-knuckle grip on all those things we believe are causing our difficulties or our misery, and embracing all that life has to offer, while trusting it always is for our highest and best. Letting go is a refocusing of our attention from what was and what you fear might be to what is and can be. It's being present to now. Letting go, detaching, is moving from resistance and attachment to flow. Give yourself permission to enjoy and embrace life fully and completely without attachment to any of it. Once again, be in this world, not of this world. Now, challenge to letting go is that we feel that if we do, all hell will break loose. Well, quite frankly, that's exactly what will happen, and it's exactly what you want to have happen. Because once hell breaks loose, you have the opportunity to be free of it, if you choose to. The hell you experience is the hell to which you hold so dearly to. Now, here are 3 keys that I have found have benefited me in letting go and getting more into the flow with life. The first of those is being aware of and vigilant with your thoughts and beliefs. Look at them, understand them, question them. Are they liberating? Are they limiting? Are they holding you back or propelling you forward? And within this awareness of your thoughts and beliefs, what judgments do you have about life? What judgments do you have about other people? And more importantly, what judgments do you have about yourself? Key number 2 is that we always have a choice. No matter what the circumstances are, there is always a choice that can be made. And this choice can even be something as simple as to do or not to do something. But that's still a choice with attendant consequences. The key here, though, is we want to make choices consistent with the experiences of life we desire. And the third key is that life is not static. The more we attempt to hold on to the way things are, the more challenging life becomes. The more we accept and allow the dynamic nature of life, the more we pay attention to the opportunities that are available to us, the more enjoyable and fulfilling our life experiences. What I have found is that the stress and suffering we experience in life is in response to our resistance to life. It's our unwillingness to accept life as it shows up, our unwillingness to speak our truth when it longs to be expressed. Life is always experienced in the moment, yet we take ourselves out of the moment with our worries, our concerns, thoughts, and beliefs. Understand that life is not a competition, it's a collaboration. When we recognize and accept this truth, we will see that life returns to us what we give to it. Your life is your life to live as you decide to live it. Despite outside influences, you are always at a point of choice as to the direction of your life. Again, the question, are your choices leading you toward the life experiences you desire, or are they taking you off course and therefore further away from the life you desire? After all is said and done, you are the ultimate authority in your life. When I say living in full expression, we're not to ignore or disrespect the opinions of others. Just recognize that their opinion is based on their perspective on life, their experiences of life, and actually has nothing whatsoever to do with you. We're going to encounter differing opinions. However, it doesn't make them wrong and us right or vice versa. All it means is that what they believe or what we believe is what we each understand as the truth in that moment. We're here to respect each other for who we are, knowing that each is doing the best that they can with what they know and have experienced to this moment on their journey. Now, this brings up the whole issue of judgment. When we think about another person, what do we really know about that other person? What do we know about their life experiences to this point that has caused them to be who they are, to have the life experiences they have had, or to come to the opinions that they hold? That's about them. We're here on this planet to gain a greater understanding and experience of ourself. We're here to trust ourself. We're here to have the most complete and expansive experience of ourself possible through our self-expression. I think the time is now to step to the edge of the cliff and take that joyful leap into uncertainty, knowing that we'll land in our magnificence. We know we're in full expression and therefore living non-attached by how we feel and the way life flows to and through us. We're not caught up in the daily drama of life. We observe and embrace life. We look at every situation, whether it's challenging or otherwise, as another opportunity to explore and express who we are, who we desire to be, and who we're in the process of being. We live life without judgment towards another or towards life itself, and more importantly, towards ourself. We allow each soul to fully express and experience itself on its own terms without conditions. I want to share an excerpt with you from my book, The Key to Life, that I feel addresses this whole issue of non-attachment and letting go. Life is fluid. Life flows whether in flow with it or not, just as water continues to flow over and around a boulder that would resist it. In the end, however, it is the boulder that surrenders to the persistence of the water that would wear it away. And so it is with us. We eventually surrender to the persistence of life and come to accept all it offers. Surrender, letting go, is not about giving up. It's giving in. It's giving in to the magnificence of what can be, the magnificence of all that we are, the magnificence of ourself. Our boulders in life are the limiting thoughts and beliefs we hold about ourselves. Regardless of how much we resist what life is offering, life will eventually wear down our limiting beliefs, not causing us to throw our hands in the air and surrender, but to raise our hands in victory as we accept that life will always offer what we need for the grandest experience and expression of self. So in closing, I invite you to move through life as a passerby. Move through life acknowledging all that it is, appreciating all that it is, experiencing all that it is, and loving all that it is without being attached to any of it. And in so doing, you will experience life fully, wholly, and freely as your true self. I want to thank you for your time today. You have many opportunities towards which you could invest your precious time, and yet you've chosen to spend this time with me. I want you to know how greatly it is appreciated. If you have questions or comments on today's podcast, or you have a suggestion for a future podcast, you can email me at jim@prosperitybydesign.com. I look forward to continuing our conversation as we bring more ancient wisdom into our modern world that I believe can change not only our personal lives, but the world as we know it into a more peaceful, more loving, more kind and joy-filled experience for all. Until next time, I'm Jim Phillips, and you've been listening to Ancient Wisdom for a Modern World.